Hello everyone and welcome back to the Perfect Tasting Box. This is the June episode, but this is a special one actually because this is with a collaboration we just recently started with Sara Cox, radio DJ, and we're doing a tasting box of 3 or a tasting box of 6 actually with her wines, the wines which she chose, and we're going to taste these wines with Christopher Delalonde, Master Sommelier, as we always do, right after the intro. Welcome, Chris. How are you doing?
Hello, Csaba. Hello, everybody. All fine, thank you. All fine, and ready to talk about wine for change.
Yes, exactly. What else should we talk about?
Well, it's the most important thing on the planet,
Yes,
as far as I'm
exactly.
concerned. Especially lately when you read the news, the wine news as such, and you see what's happening especially in France and in Europe in general. But in France, basically, we're going to test a Petit Chablis, which probably is one of the last because the region has been blatted by very, very heavy hail, which completely destroyed the vintage 2024 as such. But potentially, the vineyard has been so damaged, the wood and the vine themselves, that there is also going to be an impact on the 2025 vintage. If you're a wine lover, it's better to pile up right now.
But
To
in
keep
this
it
case,
simple.
Sara Cox actually chose quite a nice little wine for
Well, let's
herself.
start. This is the Petit Chablis from Sylvain Mosnier 2022. Fantastic vintage in Burgundy, as technically Chablis is part of. It shares one same grape variety, the Chardonnay. There's no red wine produced in the appellation Chablis. 4,200 hectares planted of vine, divided into Petit Chablis, Chablis, Chablis Premier Cru, and Chablis Grand Cru. Petit Chablis is only about 1,300, so roughly a fourth of the appellation in production under this AOP specifically. It doesn't mean, petit means small in French, as we all know.
Yep.
However, it doesn't mean that small brother or less quality wines. It's more to do with location. Rather to be on the Coteaux, you're more on the flatland. So again, when frost comes, this is the first vineyards that usually are affected, and we all know that
Damaged.
Chablis is very heavily affected by on a yearly basis. For the people that have from my generation, they will remember the winter of 1985, where Chablis was hit by heavy frost to minus 15 Celsius. And minus 15 Celsius is really the borderline where vine can survive. So people that tell you in Chablis they've got vineyards 100 years old, nah. A lot of those vines died during that winter, unfortunately. Anyway, so the Chardonnay in Chablis is called Beaunois, as to refer to the city of Beaune, the center of Burgundy and again Chardonnay production. And here you've got a very specific soil chimérigien, which is basically not a type of soil, but a time frame within the Earth's history. It's about 150 million years old, and it's marl and limestone. If you walk in the Chablis vineyard, you will easily find some oyster shell and some other leftovers of fossilized mollusks, because it used to be obviously the seabed. A lot to say about this estate. It's about 7 generations, even though the real winemaker, before they used to sell their grape to different crops, but it's only now basically 3 generations that have been making the wine by themselves. And since 2007 is the granddaughter, as such, Stephanie, that took over the estate. So that's 15th vintage under the belt, and you can tell. I didn't know the estate. I know Petit Chablis. We have a Petit Chablis from a different vineyard winemaker in the businesses, and yes, some stunning expression are coming through this appellation, despite its name that could suggest as a younger or smaller brother from the Chablis, the Premier Crus, and obviously the Grand Cru, which represents 9% of the appellation. It's nothing. So in terms of the color, it's bright light yellow with lemon hue. So again, there's not much evolution there. A little bit of greenness as well. Low viscosity in my glass, so it doesn't suggest a lot of alcohol. On the bottle, it says 12.5. And to be honest, on the palate, you don't feel anything. It's so well integrated. 12.5 is actually quite refreshing for oceans, especially again, talking about global warming. Now it's so easy to find things at 13.5, 14.5 for even for white expression. The nose really, really sings. You've got apples, brewed apples, red apples, pears, blossom, honeysuckle. There's some lemon zest as well in there. There's load of wet rocks. This is really the Chablis soil that's really come through, the vibrancy, minerals. There's also some white flowers. It's really well combined and superbly well knitted. A very exciting nose. The palate has a beautiful richness and unctuosity on the mid palate, and the way it attacks, on your tongue. It filled with stone fruit. There's definitely more apples, the pears, the blossom, honeysuckle, again, salty shells, wet rocks. Again, this sort of fruit and minerals all well knitted and well combined together, really putting a lot of energy and vibrancy on the mid palate, which is kind of medium weight. It makes the wine so approachable, so enticing, so delicious. It's a beautiful expression. Again, the palate is also, you've got this sort of first approach, then you've got almost the minerals, and then again the food comes with more red apple, bruised apple, pink ladies, that sort of apple sides as such. I'm not talking about cider, I'm just talking about fresh, crunchy apple flavors. That a beautiful, a fantastic great drive of acidity, again, to beautifully lift the palate, and a beautiful and long finish on salted rocks. It's a cracking wine, again, to be served between 12 and 14. Don't get it too cold because you will kill the flavors. Obviously not too warm, because that's a bit less fun, especially when you're looking for that sort of freshness and acidity. To be honest with you, it's a 2022 vintage. It delivers straight away. It definitely can sit in the cellar. I wouldn't sit on it for 15 years, but a couple of years will not harm the wine whatsoever. And a fantastic delight with, again, seafood platters, cockles, oysters, mussels, crabs, and other mollusk will work wonders. But even, poultry, creamy sauces, obviously, because of that acidity, will fantastically cut through. And I'm really pleased with that expression. Beautiful choice from Sara. So here we are, basically, if you see the Provence sort of coastlines, there's Marseille, and then you have Toulon, and you drive basically about 35 miles up north in direct line, and you're reaching the bottom of the Coteaux Varois. So the Coteaux Varois en Provence, as they are called in the appellation system, it's quite vast area, and they are divided between the southern part and the northern part. The Chateau Margui is owned by nobody else but Georges Lucas. So Georges Lucas, actually, of the
Star Wars.
fantastic Star Wars trilogy that, well, it's not even a trilogy nowadays any longer. And this is called the Skywalker Vineyards. The story behind the Skywalker Vineyards is because Georges Lucas was also inspired to make wine like Francis Ford Coppola, who has also a vineyard in Napa Valley. Started in the Marin County of California with Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. And then he extended his desire in France, and then bought this estate about 10 years ago, slowly but surely rebuilding and spending quite a few dollars there. It's a 16-hectare property, purchased by Lucas, I was saying, and just kind of about 70 miles north of Toulon in the Haut-Var. So as I was saying, the blend of different grape variety. Here we have Grenache, Cinsault, Syrah, and Cabernet Sauvignon. Funny enough, no white grape variety, just red, because again, you're much northern and much more Mediterranean as a climate. So cooler winter, and medium, not really hot, because of the elevation, again, between 300 and 600 meter high compared to closer to the sea, where you're almost flatter and therefore much warmer. The Cabernet Sauvignon here is a bit of the international grape variety, whereas Grenache, Cinsault, and Syrah are very much low, but it really does add a bit of depth into the wine. 2023, really, really good vintage again in this part of the world. Beautiful quality, beautiful ripeness, fantastic balance. And Again, the wine shows it. You are a bright, light, sort of onion peel color. Very light, as the market really enjoy it. Yes, as you're showing. I mean, coming into that kind of clear glass bottle, you really see that magnificent bright color coming through, and as a medium viscosity in my glass. It's a 12.5 alcohol, as it says on the presentation below. So again, very, very balanced when it comes to the alcohol content and development on the palate. The nose is really open and fresh with vibrant intensity. To me, really is the berry character, the red berries, the straw, the raspberries, the cranberries, the lingonberries that come through. First is that sort of ripe character, fresh, crushed. There's a bit of wild strawberries as well as candied fruit. And then you also have that sort of floral notes, the violets, and then the herbal, the mint, the sage, and some garlic pepper, funnily enough. I found some sort of slight spices. Again, the palate is taut and splendidly vibrant. It's one of those ones that you test and you're like, oh, wow, didn't expect that. You fill with strawberries, raspberry, fresh and crushed, loads of cranberries, red currant, even floral and herbal notes are coming along on the mid palate. It has a medium weight. It's one of those ones that really kind of deliver freshness, vibrancy, approachability, drinkability to a certain extent, with beautiful lift of acidity. So again, it's that combination of ripe fruit, fresh fruit, crushed fruit, and lingering acidity that kind of elongate the wine on your palate and make it really approachable and almost make you salivate, and you're thinking you have a sip, you put your glass down and you go back to it. Tire delivery is splendidly fresh. It's again well put together, and with the sort of candied fruit and the conflicted fruit that lingers and add to the complexity and the length. And slight zesty finish. I found it sort of almost kind of lemony, which again makes you want to come back to it. Again, one of those wines you sort of open and enjoy straight away. I would play between 11 and 13, maybe even 14, but not lower, and definitely not higher than that in terms of temperature. You don't really need to cellar it. The vintage here is of the essence. The freshness in rosé is of the essence. Perfect for the aperitif sort of style on a sunny day, as to get the palate going around fresh fish, barbecued veggies, or even white meat and poultry. Because again, that's fantastic zesty acidity that will cut through all those different texture. I would even see that with some sort of Asian type of food, as long as it's not too spicy. Again, just to get the lift going and doing and playing his magic.
Sara Cox chose this is the wine which is the most obvious for her for a June selection in many ways, because that sort of Provence rosé style, which just keeps growing in the UK at the moment in terms of sales and in terms of
exactly. I mean,
exposure.
it's very interesting to see the sort of rosé pattern over the last 15 years. It used to be a very cyclic. From June to sort of September. You would sell rosé, you would buy rosé, you would drink rosé, and now the habits of drinking such wines is 365 days. It's very much something that is consumed all year round, from the 1st of Jan to the 31st of December. It has no real weather pattern attached to it any longer.
Yeah, exactly. It's a recent discovery from the British people, I would say, but it's a good one, because I think rosé is for all year round, and it's very versatile with food as well. But you mentioned Bordeaux very briefly, and we have a Bordeaux here.
And then exactly, this is the last of the selection of Sara Chateau, Haut-Medoc 2019. So nothing really to say about the vintage, but one of those fantastic vintage, in the 20th century for Bordeaux, a vintage that has a lot of ink used to write upon. It's the Cuvee Descent. It's right at the bottom, the Cuvee Descent. It's made by a lady called Hélène Vergès since 2015. Unfortunately, I couldn't find much information. I called them and no one picked up the phone, so I don't know really if it's a second label. I couldn't really find any information, but it's Haut-Medoc. Don't forget, Haut-Medoc, again, it's one of those appellations on the 100,000 hectares of Bordeaux. That is probably about 10%. So there's a plethora of estate, chateau, domain, and terroirs that produce different things. So again, in terms of pure flavor profile, I would imagine that Cabernet Sauvignon dominates with some Merlot. There's maybe a touch of Cabernet Franc, but I wouldn't tell. The Cabernet Franc must be, if it's there, it's 5-10% max, because you don't have
Mhm.
any green character to it. So going into my tasting notes, the wine took a bit of while to open up, which again refer to the quality and potentially also to the quality of the vintage, which has brought a lot of ripeness, beautiful structure, and some aging capacity. My glass was kind of garnet with a deep core and a garnet rim. So again, expressing some youth in the color and a medium viscosity. Funny enough, on the label, it states 12% of alcohol, which I find quite unlogical on a vintage like this. Maybe, I don't know. To be honest with you, it didn't. Again, the alcohol didn't really come through on the testing, so I wouldn't imagine that it's more than that. But with the French laws or European laws in general, you've got 1%, so you can play 12 and a half
Yeah.
or 11 and a half, but I would imagine it's more 12 and a half. And again, remember that the labels are usually ordered a year before the harvester, so they don't really know what will be the next thing coming. So on my tasting note, I said, the wine opens slowly. It took some time, it took some air. I didn't decant it, but I would suggest to decant it eventually when you open such a thing. Either give it a couple of hours or just decant it quickly before enjoying, just to give that extra push of oxygen to break down the molecules and the ethanol in order to kind of develop the flavor profile. It became with this sort of orange peel, floral notes, and then as the air came through, then the black fruit, then the ripe blackberries and came along nicely and softly. Again, blue plums, earthy, leaves. There's definitely a sort of evolution on the nose, a bit more than on the color, funnily enough. But again, an evolution that is cyclic, that is normal. That's what you expect from a wine that is now turning, 5 years old, from a potentially large estate or even a small estate, but from different elevation, different age of vineyard. We're not talking Grand Cru here. We're talking about Haut-Medoc, classic. And again, on the sort of winemaking usage, stainless steel or concrete or oak, I can't tell you. I didn't feel any oak on the tasting buds. Maybe there's some large old oak used, but I can't tell. It didn't really come through on the flavor profile, even though you would argue that I got some cedar wood again on the nose, so potentially a bit of oak there. But again, that's a big question mark. And on the palate, it's round. The wine is really rounded. Again, it's very enticing. It's pretty easy. It's textured. It's really gentle, very soft. So I guess beautiful ripeness and completely destemmed and then press nicely, and then going into that vat to perform the fermentation without really much work. So therefore, you don't have those tannin coming from, and then giving the wine sort of that suppleness and again approachability for Bordeaux of that vintage. And then the mid palate is again filled up with black fruits, a lot of berries, plums, cherries even come through. There is some spices on the palate. So again, brown spices are found. So it could be also derivated from oak usage, but again, it's a question mark there. Again, leafy, earthy, and a sort of a forest floor tunes also come through. The mid palate is balanced, beautiful mid weight. Again, it's not the most complex one you ever drink, but it's very approachable with fantastic freshness. Again, the acidity drive really lift up and then makes it really approachable and enticing, and it elongates as well the finish on primary fruit. Again, at 12% alcohol volume, you get so much without having to extract so much alcohol. It's quite bluffing, to be honest. That's why I'm questioning that number on the label.
Maybe this
Again,
is why they didn't pick up the phone, by the way.
yeah, they might have thought he's the tax man, so he says a
Yeah.
problem there. So again, open and let it breathe. Decant it if you can last minute, or use even large glasses between 16 and 18 Celsius. I wouldn't go lower, no higher than that. Just again to keep the wine in control with a bit of freshness. Again, with that sort of June view and ID, early summer days, I should say. So grilled barbecue meat would work well. Spicy dishes, Indian, even Chinese. earthy flavors. I like those sort of things with that type of wine. Mushroom risotto or casseroles. Cheeses, but again, sort of earthy cheeses like Saint-Nectaire from the center of France. That would work wonders with that sort of cellar flavors and the sort of beauty, acidity, and fruit compact of the wine.
I think Haut-Medoc tends to be one of those sort of underrated regions where people don't really look anymore. But I think you can get some real gems out of Haut-Medoc very often.
Yeah, there is. I mean, you think about an estate that is very famous, Chateau, which is under the Haut-Medoc appellation, and they make some great wine. But again, Haut-Medoc being so vast as an appellation, you've got a plethora of different soil, a plethora of different winemaking style, approachability. It really depends how close or how far away from the ocean you are, how close or how far you go from the land forest, which protects from the wind. It depends of your elevations. It depends of your grape variety, the age of your vineyards, and your approach to farming those vineyards as well as your winemaking. So it's all about crafting the product. And to be honest, it's £20. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's worth every penny. For 20 quid, I think you get a very, very approachable and delicious expression. But to be honest with you, the star wine of the day, if I had to pick one, is the Petit Chablis. The Petit Chablis
Okay.
was a real discovery for me. I really enjoyed thoroughly what Stephanie is doing, and a fantastic glass of wine.
Yes. I was very much, not surprised by the rosé, because I think that is something what Sara Cox would obviously choose. If I can think ahead what she's going to choose, I think she would definitely choose a rosé, and certainly for the summer it's
Yeah,
a
but I think
perfect
it's also
choice.
very smart. I mean, you offer in a box three different style, three different colors, and again, thinking about this sort of barbecue style, you start with the Petit Chablis, you almost like get the palate going, then you move on to the rosé for the sort of fish and sort of starters, and then you move to the red with the meat and the cheese. So you could have that sort of nice crescendo flavor profile building up in strength and in body. That would definitely work for a table of four or more around a nice Sunday barbecue.
And also there's something else as well, which is not actually in the tasting box, but there's a reason for it. It's a champagne, so which she chose as well. But obviously, because it's a sparkling wine, it would be difficult to put it into one of these tasting boxes and pouches. But
Yeah, I
at
mean,
the,
the sparkling wine patches is next step in terms of technology. I don't think we
yeah,
are there yet.
no, but nevertheless, get 3 or 6 of these wines, and hopefully it's going to be a joy to drink.
Yeah, no,
And
no, no. I agree. I agree. Good precursor of what's coming for June.
exactly. Well, and I
Lovely.
think with that, this was Sara Cox's first ever perfect tasting box. A white, a rosé, and a red, all from France. Very stylish box.
We'll
Some jazz as
we'll
well.
do one for the win with a more international selection.
Yes, exactly. Well, we have to talk to her about that.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
I'm glad she went to France. I mean, it's good for the
Obviously.
economy. Put it that way.
Exactly. Well, guys, thank you for watching, and thank you, Chris, for your time. And
Thank
I'll
you,
see
thank you,
you on the
Csaba.
next
Thank you
one.
all, and then speak to you soon.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye.